السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Indeed, all thanks to Allah Azza wa Jal. We seek refuge in Him and we seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our own selves and the evil of our actions. For indeed, whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal has guided to Islam, no one can misguide. And whomsoever Allah misguides, no one can guide. And I stand before you and I bear witness that there is no deity, there is no Lord, there is no Ilah except Allah Azza wa Jal. And I stand before all of you and I bear witness and I testify openly and freely Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final messenger and the seal of all prophethood. All you who believe, be God conscious of Allah as is His due, and do not die unless you are in the state of Islam. Be mindful of Allah, of a Lord who created you from one soul, and from that soul many men and many women, and fear Allah in whose names you appeal to one another and honor family ties. Indeed, Allah is ever over you and I, observer, a watcher. I'd like to begin my khutbah with a quote by Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, formerly known as the famous Malcolm X, in which he said very famously about Islam, speaking about Islam, he says, and I quote, "This is the one religion that erases from its society the race problem. That one of the great things about Islam, one of the things that makes it unique, that makes it so attractive, is that it doesn't matter who you are, what's your status in society. It doesn't matter your ethnicity, where you come from, what's your background, the color of your skin, or where you're coming from. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, "Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wala amwalikum, walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum wa a'malikum." Or kama qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah does not look at your physical appearance nor your wealth, rather He looks towards your hearts and your actions. That it is your hearts and your actions that bring one closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. That every person has a direct connection with Allah Azza wa Jal, a direct connection with the Creator. It does not matter who you are, the color of your skin, your background, where you are, where you're coming from. So long as you have air in your lungs, you have a chance in establishing a connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. You could be a zalim, you could be a asi, you could be in the worst of states, and you call upon Allah sincerely, and you will find Allah there to answer you. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ أَإِلَٰهٌ مَعَ اللَّهِ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Or ask them who responds to the distressed when they cry to Him, relieving their affliction, and who makes you successors of the earth. It is another God besides Allah. Little do you remember that it is Allah who created you and I, and it is Allah who will test you and I. And it was the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ who was saying, أشد الناس بلاء الأنبياء ثم الصالحون ثم الأمثل فالأمثل. That the people who were tested the most are the prophets, then the righteous, then the next best, and the next best. Let us take an example of one of the most severe tests that any human has ever seen. One of the most severe tests that has been tested from one of the prophets of Allah, Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam, Prophet Job, in which he was tested with the most severe of trials. وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Ayyub alayhi salam was afflicted with something like nothing other. He had cattle, he had wealth, he had children, he had houses, he had whatever you can imagine. And then it was all lost, gone. His wealth, his property, his strength, his children, gone. Gone. That the intensity of the trial was so severe that on top of all of that, Allah had tested him with an illness like no other, a skin disease that had no cure to it known to man, that no doctors, no medication known to man, nothing, no human could help him. And the severity of the disease was so severe that he was put on the edge of the city because no one dared come near to him except his compassionate wife who stood by him and supported him. And through all of that, it was said in the tafsir that it got so severe that they were so in need that she had even started to work to gain money to provide for him, to take care of her husband. Imagine for a second you are on the edge of a city abandoned. You've lost your wealth, you lost your children, you lost your property, your cattle, your crops, everything that you hold near and dear to in this world gone. And he calls out to Allah saying, I have been touched with adversity and you are the most merciful and merciful. SubhanAllah. Not afflicted with adversity, touched with adversity. To show the power of Allah Azza wa Jal, that if Allah had decreed something upon you, it would happen. That you do not know the power, the true might of Allah Almighty. That it was touched. That Ayyub alayhi salam was touched with adversity. All of these trials, all of these tests, and he was touched by Allah's adversity. And what was the response when he called upon Allah? اسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ. We had answered him. وَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ. And we had removed his adversity. وَآتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُ. And we had returned to him his family twice as many. And it said here by Ibn Abbas in Tafsir ibn Kathir that that his family was restored to him. And Mujahid rahimahullah, he says in Tafsir ibn Kathir, the same Tafsir, that in fact Ayyub was given two options. The first was that his family would be revived and restored to him, his children. Or the second option was that they will be left in paradise and he would be compensated with a family just as the one he had before. And he, Ayyub alayhi salam, had chose the latter. SubhanAllah. Rahmatan min indina. A mercy from us. وَذِكْرَى لِلْعَابِدِينَ. And a reminder for those who worship Allah Azza wa Jalla. SubhanAllah, this is the most important part, that it is not just stories for the sake of stories. No, it is a reminder to be implemented into our own lives, that when Allah Azza wa Jalla has afflicted you with adversity, that it is not because Allah does not love you. It is not because Allah has forsaken you. Quite the contrary. It is because Allah loves you. Allah wants to test you. Allah wants to raise you in status. Allah wants to raise your maqam. Allah wants to enter you in paradise. And what better example than the people of Palestine? SubhanAllah. Homes bombed, villages invaded, families separated, children sniped. And what is their cry? Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Sufficient is for us Allah. He is the best disposer of affairs. Everyone has a direct connection with Allah Azza wa Jalla. But we're all on different levels. Some strongly connected, some lack thereof. And there is no middleman in Islam. That you sin, you turn to Allah. You are afflicted with adversity, you turn to Allah. You are afflicted with distress, you turn to Allah. You have troubles, you turn to Allah. When Yaqub alayhi salam, who had reached him the news that he had lost his son, قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله. He said, I do not complain. I do not complain of my suffering or my grief except to Allah. That whenever you are worried, whenever you are distressed, whenever you are trialed, do not turn to the creation first. Turn to the Creator. Because there is a significance, there is power, that the moment you are touched with adversity, you don't call your mom, you don't call your dad, you don't call your friend, you don't call the person that you think can help you. You turn to Allah first. There is significance, there is power, there is meaning in that. when Ibrahim alayhi salam had destroyed the idols and the people had gathered and decided to give Ibrahim alayhi salam the capital punishment to throw him in a blazing fire. And here Ibrahim alayhi salam is about to be thrown into the fire alive, to be burned alive. And angel Ibrahim comes to Ibrahim alayhi salam and he says, "Oh Ibrahim, do you need any help?" Death sentence. He's about to die, be thrown into fire, burned alive. "Oh Ibrahim, do you need any help?" What was Ibrahim alayhi salam's reply? "Khalilullah, if it is from you, no." Subhanallah. And it is only at this point that Allah Azza wa Jal says, "قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ." So we said, "O fire, be a coolness and peace upon Ibrahim." That he turned to Allah Azza wa Jal. Here the angel Jibreel himself is presenting himself before Ibrahim alayhi salam, offering him help. And he refuses the help of anyone except Allah Azza wa Jal. He turns to Allah first before he turns to the creation. How can the fire be cool? How can the fire be anything other than hot? How can we find a cure to a skin disease that we have not had any medication for? No medication known, no doctors. How? Because this is the power of the Creator, you and I. He is capable of doing anything. That He will open doors for you that you never even knew were there. That He will split the sea for you. That He will solve the problems, all of your problems. He will remove your trial and tribulation for you. He will make the impossible possible. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Inshallah, just a couple of quick announcements. The 3 p.m. Jummah is ongoing to accommodate the students, young ones from the school, and bring them to the Jummah. We have a virtual Ramadan event for sisters. Is this Monday, February 26th, from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Information to join is in the Sisters ICF WhatsApp group. Sisters, please join our Sisters Only WhatsApp group if you have not done so already. We have our Sisters Halaqa is between 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. on Sundays. We have water utensils and dates are all already sponsored for the whole month of Ramadan. If you'd like to sponsor anything, please check with Brother Amir or Brother Ali. And this year's Ramadan is only weeks away, so please fulfill your last year's Ramadan pledges and continue your generous donations for the expansion of the masjid, which is like a khayran. My brothers and sisters, when we have the mindset of just you and I with Allah, there becomes a different type of connection, a deeper love that you have with Allah. Because Allah tells us in Hadith Qudsi, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. That my servant continues to draw near to me with voluntary deeds until I love him. You tell a brother, let's fast Mondays and Thursdays, and he'll reply to you, brother, it's just sunnah. And how great were the Sahaba and the Tabi'een that they did not engage into the voluntary acts. They engaged into the voluntary acts because it was sunnah, while we lack behind because it is sunnah. This word sunnah has lost its value in meaning. That when we hear the word sunnah, we become lazy. For the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, they heard the word sunnah and they were eager. to establish a connection with the Almighty. They were eager for a chance to get closer to Allah. Sunnah meant something to them. Whereas we struggle because it is Sunnah. We are in the month of Sha'ban. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would use this month to prepare himself for the month of Ramadan, that he would increase himself in fasting in the month of Sha'ban, that he would stand in prayer, he would stand the night coming to the masjid every day. He was not a Ramadan Muslim. No, he was a Muslim before Ramadan and after Ramadan. And when Ramadan came, he increased himself as much, if not more, than he did in Sha'ban. Ramadan is coming, and we need to ask ourselves, what have we prepared for Ramadan? Trying to please Allah, trying to get closer to Allah, because Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says in Hadith Qudsi, وَمَنْ تَقَرَّبَ مِنِّي شِبْرًا تَقَرَّبْتُ مِنْهُ ذِرَاعًا وَمَنْ تَقَرَّبَ مِنِّي ذِرَاعًا تَقَرَّبْتُ مِنْهُ بَاعًا وَمَنْ أَتَانِي يَمْشِي أَتَيْتُهُ هَرْوَلًا. That he who draws near to me the length of a hand, I will draw to him the length of an arm. And he who draws near to me the length of an arm, I will draw near to him the length of a fathom. And he who comes to me walking, I will come to him running. Imagine, Allah is running towards you. Allah is running toward you. That you ask Him and He answers you. You call upon Him and He gives you. This is Allah. This is the one who answers. So to conclude my khutbah, إذا أصبت بمصيبة, if you have been afflicted by a trial, touched by a trial or tribulation, then before you turn to the creation, turn to the Creator, turn to Allah Azza wa Jal, because with Him is your solution. With Him is the one who is capable of everything. Be a Muslim who focuses on Allah at all times, not just in the month of Ramadan. Don't be a Ramadan Muslim. Be someone who at all times is drawing nearer to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Look forward to meeting Allah so that Allah can look forward to meeting you. And if you want to increase your love for Allah, then increase your love for the Sunnah and the voluntary acts of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he continuously engaged in. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to help our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to help our brothers and sisters who are suffering all over the world. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to allow us to turn to Him in need before turning in need of the people. I ask Allah to allow us to witness another Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله استقيم استووا الله أكبر الله الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.